Yes, hello. I am James Rowland, and today it's WNR564. It's WWE Money in the Bank 2025. I'm not alone. Of a pleasure to be joined by the entire WNR team. Up first by my side for every WWE in AEW show it is the fantastic Jaxie Scarlett. How's it going, Jaxie?
What's up? It's been a while. Yeah, we got a lot to catch up on with Money in the Bank and everything that's come after. So this is going to be an interesting one, I think.
Yeah, that is all things WWE. And up next, our
Yeah.
resident NXT expert and New Japan demigod. It is Monty. How's it going, man?
Doing good. Excited to be back. Like you said, catching up on everything that's been going on, and yeah, I mean, Money in the Bank is usually one of their best efforts. So can't wait to talk about the show and everything leading up to it and after it.
Yeah, without that. And last but by no means least, and recently I've been hopelessly reaching out for this girl who's out of this world. Believe me, but so many nights now, I find myself thinking about her now. Cause obviously she's out of my league, but how can I win? She keeps dragging me in, and I know I'll never will be good enough for her. No, I never will be good enough for her. Oh, I shouldn't really call her. It is Gina. How's it going, Gina?
No, James, you always be good enough.
No, I
Welcome on
won't.
in. It does feel like it's been a while for sure. So I look forward to getting into some WWE talk and reviewing Money in the Bank. There's a lot to go over. So
Yes, we have the proverbial shed load to get through. So let's start with our WWE catch up. And with Raw after highlights of Saturday night's main event, that's where we last left it. And we started Raw with Paul Heyman, Seth Rollins, and Bron Breakker, with newest member Bronson Reed. Heyman cited the amount of damage Reed did to Rollins in a short period compared to what Roman Reigns did. And that's why they originally wanted him to join the group. And Seth said the Money in the Bank is more powerful than the world titles. I mean, quite a statement there, Jaxie, from Rollins about the world titles. But it's interesting how we wondered how we'd fit Bronson Reed in. And Heyman's like, look, he fucked him up good, so we'll have him, you know?
I mean, yeah, I didn't think that he would slot in so well to this faction, but so far it's kind of working out. I mean, they're definitely sort of being dominant. And at this point, all of them really do look good in each outcome and each match or each promo that they're giving. So it's definitely an interesting time to watch with what they're doing at the moment.
Yeah, that doubt. We got Money in the Bank qualifier Penta versus Dragon Lee versus Chad Gable, and Penta qualified and dropped Chad Gable on his head. So bit of a bonus. Vikingo did get involved with Chad. Rusev killed Tozawa, but Sheamus stepped up. Then we got the New Day defeating the Creed Brothers and the War Raiders to retain. Backstage, Liv Morgan returned, walking in on Roxanne Perez, offering Dominic Mysterio chicken nuggets and a shoulder rub. And she vowed to address that, not before convincing Adam Pearce for Money in the Bank match. Fortunately, Rox accidentally coached her in a match versus Kairi Sane. But Monty, man, is Dom the luckiest guy in wrestling? You know, he just keeps falling into it at this moment in time, doesn't he?
It's either that or the writers can't come up with much else other than to give Dom a girl to play off of. I don't know, but yeah, I don't know. I don't know how you can run into the situation three straight times. Pretty much where it seems like they've kind of turned him into a ladies' man in a sense. But I don't know. You never really know, to be honest. Like, is it about Dom or is it really about Roxanne messing with Liv? It's funny. It's funny how far or how many ways you can actually kind of spin this if you want to. Is this a plan from Finn? Like Finn telling Roxanne to get involved with her. So there's so many different ways that I mean get involved with Dom. So there's so many ways that you can spin this. So it'll be interesting to see where they decide to go if they decide to continue it on down the line.
Without a doubt, we get a Lyra Lynch promo. The gist is Lynch loses to Lyra. She will never challenge for the Intercontinental title again. If the champion loses, though, she must graciously raise Lynch's hand in victory. In the main event, Monday Back qualifying match, Sami Zayn v Finn Balor versus Seth Rollins. Zayn appeared to have it won, with Reed and Breaker getting involved. They leveled Zayn on the outside, leaving Rollins to benefit from interference from Dom by delivering a stomp on the chair. And then they demanded his henchmen beat down Zayn and Jey Uso, who had come to his friend's aid, only for CM Punk's music to play. The CM Punk sent them sleeping and left Rollins and hit him with a go to sleep. On SmackDown, we got some silly America thing with Bianca Belair to start. I mean, bless them and their kooky ways, you know. Naomi had a chat and went round to the family home earlier. What a good friend she is, you know. She will do anything for friends. Cargill came to the ring. This led to a Money in the Bank qualifier. Cargill, Naomi, and Jackson. Then Naomi scored the win by pinning Jax to earn a spot in Money in the Bank. And Gina, this was a pleasant surprise at the time because Naomi, you know, been featured but not had many wins.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, we all know that like Naomi has been killing it in this new persona that she's bringing across with her character. But I will admit I still didn't see this outcome going into this match because you know WWE have a pattern of kind of sending people up to come back down and go back up. So again, in a way, I was quite shocked at the outcome, but I was also really happy with this.
Yeah, without doubt. R-Truth had a brief encounter backstage with Solo Sikoa, Jacob Fatu, and JC Mateo that led to Truth challenging JC to a match. What we didn't know at the time, that this was R-Truth's last WWE match. And this is how far we are going back today, guys. And Monty knows because we've done this with updates. But at this point, Truth was being released. He'd been there since 2008. Loads of wrestlers have complained. Of course, we're going to talk about Raw and everything that happened. But I mean, Jaxie, the interesting thing I got from R-Truth's release at the time, or the contract thing, was people were saying this would never happen under Vince, and we haven't ever heard that under Triple H's reign at this moment in time.
Yeah, this was a surprise. I kind of saw a lot of tweets that sort of mentioned, you know, like Vince would never have allowed this, and that did come up as a shock because it did make me think, you know, if you look at R-Truth's past and you know everything that he's accomplished, he did have like sort of a great on-screen relationship with Vince every time we saw him. I'm not entirely going to advocate for what their friendship was like backstage or anything. But you know, either way, I do question whether or not Vince would have made that move, especially with what you'll probably bring up in a moment anyway, with the decision behind releasing R-Truth the way they did, you know.
Well, he wasn't the only one who wasn't going to get his contract renewed. Sarah Logan, aka Valhalla, and Carlito wouldn't have their contracts renewed, which was a bit of a shame, but of course all happened under this kind of R-Truth cloud. We move on. Los Garzas defeated Javon Evans and Ray Phoenix with Ethan Page on commentary. It's nice to see. Vega beat Fire, the Money Back qualifier. Jake Fatu versus Andrade versus Carmelo Hayes. Jimmy Uso showed up and took out Mateo. Andrade was able to pin Mello for the win. Fatu clearly blames Sikoa for the loss, which again was surprising. Andrade did get the victory. The end segment was horrible and featured Cody, Cena, Jey Uso, and Logan Paul, who would clean his peacemaker. Monty, I'm sure some people found this segment entertaining, but I was just like, no, please, no. And it might just be because of Logan Paul.
It also just was, like you said, it just wasn't really executed well, to be honest. It was just like, I don't want to say boring, but it was one of those promo segments. Like you said, we went through you know, to be honest, SmackDown in a sense, you know, even though I do think they've been better the last few weeks, the 3 hours at times, the pacing of SmackDown hasn't always been the best. And that segment, like you mentioned, just for some reason just was off. And you know, of course, I'm not gonna say doesn't have anything to do with Logan, because you know, I mean, I get it. You know, for some people, you know, that's immediate reason to just not really pay as much attention as you probably were. But yeah, man, everything about it was predictable, but also just not the most interesting thing in the world either. So it's not just Logan. Like, I think the segment itself was predictable, and I think nobody really said anything or did anything of note to make this storyline hotter or make this feel like something that we needed to look forward to. I mean, we knew the match was coming, and we kind of, you know, like, we kind of seen the writing on the wall already, pretty much at this point. But this segment didn't really help, in my opinion. So I just think that's kind of why for me, it fell flat because it just wasn't the most interesting stuff they could possibly do. And I honestly don't know what story angle they could have other than like Cena saying, "Oh, well, I'm gonna make we're gonna ruin pro wrestling," and like you said, the Peacemaker line. Like, what else did it really do that would even make it stick out in your brain?
Exactly. No, it was just awful. And again, Logan Paul is one of those I'm not interested in at all. Raw go home. Punk started the show and promised another summer of Punk. He called Cena a bitch. A naughty word. Sammy arrived and he told Punk he must win later. I watched the edited version, so there was a lot of R-Truth chants that were quieter. I should say the R-Truth chants as well. Actually, we'll talk about that in a little bit. First match was a Money Bank qualifier. Stephanie Vaquer, who signed to Raw, beat Ivy Nile and Liv Morgan. I mean, Stephanie's reaction is better than Roxanne Perez's and Julia's combined at this moment in time. She's kind of already in like the top 5 and she's only been there a week.
Yeah, definitely. If people do not watch NXT and don't really know much about Stephanie, they're probably already wowed by her just from the hype that she's got from being brought up. So yeah, I don't blame them because to be honest, she is killing it at the moment, and I hope that it continues like this for her because it will just work wonders. And I think her character is so unique and is nice to see, but again,
Yeah.
I don't want to say put too much of my love into her because it's a bit like a Game of Thrones character. You find out you love this character, and next thing you know, they're killed off. So
Oh, no.
I'm, I'm staying tentative, I'm staying
Yeah.
tentative. But either way, I'm loving seeing her at the moment. I did enjoy her in NXT, and just seeing her come up and getting the reaction that she has, I'm super happy for her.
Yeah, she might be the dark horse leading into this Money in the Bank as well, because again, the crowd is really behind her. Strike while the iron's hot, maybe. Judgment Day, which was just Finn and JD beat Viking Raiders thanks to Rocks. Dom wore a Carlito top, and Rhea apparently had to take off her R-Truth top, and that's why she was in a sports bra when she faced off with Steph. Or that's my excuse for why I noticed that. Thank you very much. Lara and Lynch brawled again. Paul Heyman with Big Bronson, Reed, and Bron Breakker with a new theme, and in black look fucking awesome, I will say. Rollins caused the DQ and Punk made the save. I mean, how good did they look? And in the main event, CM Punk, AJ Styles, and El Grande Americano battled in the final Money in the Bank qualifier. Course Breaker and Reed interfered and cost Punk a pinfall in Americano. Uso and Zayn were there as well. Americano loaded his mask, blasted Styles with a headbutt, and scored the upset win. I mean, come on now, Jaxie, this is just, ground is going over AJ Styles and CM Punk. Can you believe I just said that,
Yeah, I mean, if WWE wanted to personally grind my teeth, this was the best way to do so. Again, like the storyline behind it is like a genius idea, but the push that he's getting, this character, not Chad Gable, this character that he's getting is ridiculous. I actually would rather this be Chad Gable getting this push. Do you know what I mean? So it just kind of feels an insult on two different sides, and an insult to Chad, like kind of being under a mask and not himself getting this push, but also like going over the likes of so many people that quite frankly doesn't really deserve to be over it right now. So yeah, I don't know. I don't know where they're going with this, if I'm truly honest.
No, and it's crazy to think that the first time Punk and AJ had wrestled since the 23rd of October 2004, and we've got El Grande in that matchup. But we should say as well, Bronson Reed hit multiple tsunamis to Jey Uso to end the show. On to SmackDown, Seth Rollins slightly claimed he would win Money in the Bank, but warned anybody who wants to stand in his way what will happen. Sikoa, Fatu, and JC Mateo showed up. The two groups squared off in the ring as Rollins and Sikoa traded words. Looked like they might fight, but Rollins called his boys back, and so they left without incident. But Monty, one of the things I noticed, and one of the things we will talk about as well, the groups are very similar, yes, but Solo Sikoa on the microphone, man, his development is a different level now.
It's about time. It's about time. I've been seeing. Not you're not the only one, Jay. A lot of people finally starting to catch on to just how good Solo is, and it has been an improvement. But I think most of it is just confidence in his character. I mean, people forget that they silenced him pretty much his whole first year in the bloodline. They just made him sit there and frown all the time. And you saw it in NXT. He always had more personality than that. So they kind of stripped him of that. And then as the bloodline or the whole I'm the tribal chief now storyline has wind down, and even though he's kind of lost some members of his bloodline through the injury, uh, he's been given the opportunity to kind of go there. And I think I think they smartened up. They realized that, there's no way he's gonna be as badass as Jacob. It's just nothing he can do. Like Jacob is just a whole nother animal in that regard. So instead of even trying to match that energy, allow that personality that makes people who love the Usos, makes people who love their father, use that personality that all three of them, and including their daddy, had a little bit in them, and that is what's going to allow him to really shine in that role. And while he's still Solo, I believe that a lot of the stuff that people are starting to like from Solo is when he allows his personality to take over, and he just kind of does his own thing out there, and not be this one dimensional character. And I think that's allowing him to stand next to a Jacob, because if you think about it, besides Jacob's moveset and how great Jacob is, that's what's got Jacob over. That yada I mean and all that, that is naturally who he is. That is him. And I think the more authentic they are allowing Solo to be, the like you said, the more you're starting to see a lot more of that improvement. So I'm glad not just you, but a lot of people are starting to recognize that Solo's improvement is been incredible to watch.
Yeah, doubt. Jimmy Uso beat Jaxie Mateo. Zelina Vega beat Piper Niven. I mean, Piper took a great bump on the chair, but isn't it funny? Dewdrop was an awful name, but now she's wearing a suit, And again, it's just, for me, it's awful. I don't like it. But the other thing I don't like, Slim Jim tables. But we're going to swiftly move on to Ali B versus LA Knight. Rollins hit Knight with a stomp out of nowhere to cause a DQ. And of course, his henchman beat the shit out of LA Knight. Which was interesting to see backstage. The big development, though, as we just mentioned with Solo Gina, was Solo saying Jacob was all gas and no brains, and Jacob too actually hearing it. And it might have been probably the best moment they've had developing this storyline.
Yeah, definitely. It was one of those moments that it made WWE give a 5-second feel of a soap opera where someone just hears that they're hearing something said about them, and you're like, oh shit's gonna go down. But I definitely enjoyed seeing that, and the development that they've done between Solo and Jacob is great, because it's not mimicking anything that was done between the bloodline when Roman was tribal chief. They've not regurgitated it. It has a different feel to it, which makes it even more important. I think it helps that Jacob Fatu has just kind of grown into the persona that he was kind of given as soon as he joined, and everyone just seems to be loving it, loving this werewolf, persona of his. So I definitely feel like, even just seeing that scene happen, it was setting some sort of seeds to be like, okay, what we thought was going to happen might possibly come to light, but this is going to be epic. So yeah,
exactly.
it was great.
Yeah, really good stuff. Tiffany Stratton came to the ring and talked about being ready for the winner of Money in the Bank. Of course, she won it last year. This led to a 6-woman tag match. Victoria, Ripley, and Bliss beating Perez, Julia, and Naomi. We saw the tag team division backstage discussing the problem of the Wyatts. Faxum said they would take on the Wyatts since they're undefeated on SmackDown. DOI was more than happy to let them. After break, Penta and Andrade teamed up to beat the Creeds. Again, don't know why. Heyman was given a promo declaring Rollins will win Money in the Bank. Cody's music hit, and he came to the ring. Jey Uso came out through the crowd. Rollins and his cronies left the ring. So the final segment could get going, with Paul ended up attacking Jey while he was distracted, allowing Cena tit Rose with the AA, and Cena and Paul gave a quick promo, hit the finishes again. The crowd shouted R-Truth, and Cena mocked for. To be fair, Jaxie, I did switch off during this because, as I've said, I do hate Logan Paul. So again, but this is just run-of-the-mill stuff.
Yeah, I mean, I feel like you're just re-updating me on this because I kind of forgot about all of that, to be honest. Because again, for once we agree on something. I really do not care anything Logan Paul. Again, I won't disregard like the work that he puts in. However, I don't like him, so I don't care.
Yeah, it literally go away heat. You know, he holds up the title, and it's like, if he's champion, I'm not going to watch it. Like, it's as simple. And I know it's like, oh, that's a
Simple as
great
that.
hill.
Yeah.
It's like, no,
It's
I
like,
won't watch
oh
it.
yeah, Logan Paul champion. No one gives a fuck. It will be crickets. It would be crickets. Seriously.
Anyway, we move on to Money in the Bank, June 7th, with the kickoff 90 minutes, of course, because we had the Worlds Collide show a little bit earlier. We had Michael Cole, Pat McAfee, and Biggie with Wade, Kath Kelly, and Pete Rosenberg backstage, just in case we don't have enough people. Tiffany and Green at pizza whilst watching last year's event. Good for them. Sam Roberts and Megan Rant were backstage. Lyra sat down with Kathy. I mean, they're just getting lazier. They're putting highlights of the previous year's Money in the Bank, which probably took up about half an hour as well, dotted through.
Can I
We did
just
get
also say as well, like, because you just brought that up, you know, I partially watched like the this pre-show, but seeing all this, I just said, why are you showing us all this? It's free on Netflix. Mostly everyone has this. Mostly, like, a lot of WWE nerds would have gone back and watched the year before. Anyway, no one wants these continuous things, and 90 minutes of this is just ridiculous.
Yeah, welcome to my life. Exactly. We did get We Want Truth chance during the panel. So that was Raw, NXT, SmackDown, and Impact that we had those chants. But to be fair, Impact did have some RKO chants during the Elias match, so they don't know what the fuck they're talking about. LA Knight joined the panel. Wade got called a mark. So what? LA Knight's mum's called Barbara. That's what I took away from this kickoff, everybody. Vic Joseph and Pete Roberts, new panel. Is Monty, I asked you this, is Vic really tall? Because I'd have no idea, but he looked like Andre the fucking Giant next to Pete Rosenberg, whatever his guy's name was.
6'2", man. 6'2".
Fucking hell. Byron Saxton. Talking about Money in the Bank being 20 years old. Oh, my God, I am old. We get the numbers. And what's crazy, this is a fun fact, everybody, is that the first Money in the Bank match at WrestleMania 21 featured 6 guys, obviously, 4 of which still wrestle, but
Chris
all...
Benoit.
But, no, Monty, all on AEW.
Oh,
We've
sorry.
got Chris Jericho, Christian, Edge, and Benjamin all still wrestling. As we said, do we know the other 2? Monty just said one. Can we guess who the other one was?
I know.
He's retired.
I love that match.
He used to wear a mask.
He a mayor.
Hey,
Kane.
Kane, yeah.
Go.
It's Kane. It's Kane.
There you go.
Anyway, enough fun. How is Vic bigger than Big E? I just don't understand it. Anyway, on to the main show. Victor Solomon sang the anthem, and then we got the women's Money in the Bank match. Ray Ripley versus Liv Morgan versus Julia versus Roxanne Perez versus Stephanie Vaquer versus Naomi versus Alexa Bliss. And Bliss was the first competitor to head to the ring for the women's Money in the Bank match to kick off the event. Ripley was the final entrant before the bell, and it took several minutes for anyone to successfully stand up to the ladder to climb, which helped make it feel a lot more competitive once it finally happened. Steph was the only competitor in this bout who wrestled at Worlds Collide and Money in the Bank, but she actually also competed on SmackDown. So this was her third match in under 24 hours. Ripley using Bliss as a weapon was really funny, and Ripley taking the devil's kiss on the ladder did something to me, I wasn't sure what. Perez had a nice sequence of Ripley that ended with a moonsault on the ladder. Julian Perez tried to slam a ladder onto Ripley, but just ended up hitting the top rope instead. And the crowd was going wild for everything and chanted, "This is awesome," more than once. We eventually ended up with 3 ladders set up as a bridge from the corner to corner that resulted in dual code reds from Bliss and Perez to Naomi and Vaquer. After taking down Ripley and Bliss at the same time, Naomi climbed the ladder and retrieved the briefcase to win the match. I mean, this was fantastic to start to finish. Gina, what were your thoughts?
Yeah, I mimic just what you say. It was a fantastic opening event. The women did so good. It was just capturing from beginning to end. I think Roxanne Perez did so well. She's been featured in a lot of the WWE pay-per-views, the past few actually. So this is like really big for her to be featured so much in so many like main pay-per-views, especially being an NXT talent that's recently been called up. So again, I was really impressed with her keeping up with the other women in this match. Not that I didn't think she wouldn't be able to, but again, it can kind of be a bit, starstruck in a way. sort of feel. But either way, I didn't get that from her. She seemed comfortable in this match, and it was just really good. I think like her and Julia worked well together as well as working kind of apart. So it was nice that you kind of got to see a little bit of, team ups on them and making everyone think, oh crap, or one of those two going to get the win because of their tag team ship. But either way, I think the match overall was brilliant. I think the correct person won the match, and yeah, fair play to
Yeah.
them all. All the women did great.
Well, my only complaint with Roxanne Perez and her outfits is that she keeps looking like tag team partners of the people she's wrestling. If it's not Rhea Ripley, it's looking like Stephanie's tag team partner. So just have a
Yeah,
word,
that's
maybe.
true. That is very true. She does dress quite similar to the people she's going against. That's one thing I've noticed.
Yeah. But Jaxie, as you know, Gina says with this match, all women, shone. We talk about Stephanie, and this was Rhea Ripley's first ladder match. She's never had a ladder match. And this is Naomi's fifth, and as Gina said, the rightful winner, I think.
Jax?
It's Jaxie.
Oh, sorry. I'm talking and I'm muted. I'm
Oh
so
God,
sorry.
I thought it's probably my end. That's right.
I'm so sorry. No, I just kind of want to mimic, like, this was an awesome opening match. This was a great way to kind of get the crowd, really waking up after that 90-minute shambles of a pre-show. But yeah, like, every single woman deserves praise for the match that they gave. There were some really hard spots and hard moments, and they deserved all of the "this is awesome" chants that they got. So I really enjoyed it, and again, I really agree that the right person won. There were some great moments, and Roxanne did stand out, but I do agree with a lot of your statements here.
Yeah, that now. And one thing, Monty, as well, that we not mentioned, is arena had some empty seats, but they were filled up by the end of the night. Of course, probably people, either traveling or even worse, doing the UFC thing of, waiting for the main event. I hope that's not a thing, though, But it's a great match.
Yeah, you gotta give some people. Some people, you gotta have concessions. There's all types of reasons why that could have been the case. I mean, with what they charging for these tickets, you got to be a damn fool to wait for the main event. But anyway, what I will say is though, overall, this match was really cool. It was really smart. I think I saw a lot of people. I saw some people not say they didn't like it, and I think that just got a lot to do, in my opinion, with the fact that these matches in modern day have turned into stunt shows and like spot fest and there's nothing wrong with it, but like some people feel if you don't have a couple insane spots to where it looked like somebody is hurt, then it's not a good ladder match. And I just disagree completely with that. Even though I do think they had some good spots in this match, it wasn't anything, it wasn't like what Chelsea's bump from last year or whatever. It wasn't something that you're so worried about per se. And I think that's a good thing almost because I still thought it was a smartly wrestled match. And, it was kind of slow at times, but again, I think it was still executed well enough. And I think, like you mentioned, I think Naomi winning was the right choice. Even though I think you could have went with either of the new upcoming talent, it would have been fresh. Or of course, you can say Rhea, but Naomi made the most sense based on all the work she's put in, and you can kind of see that with the kind of pop for her winning at the end too, because a lot of people know. I mean, if you've been watching WWE, you know what she's been through. You know how many stop and start pushes it's been. You know how long she's been deserving of a true push and a true spotlight. So I think it's kind of cool that they, did not they rewarded her for all of this great reworking of the character that she's done. And I can't wait to see what her run with the briefcase and her possible title win, what that could look like in the future. But this is, in my opinion, I thought this was all executed really well and a very good Money in the Bank match.
Yeah, like I said, I knew Naomi could do it. It's good that she's proved people wrong as well. All right, so scores then. Gina, what would you give this out of 5?
Yeah, do you know what? This was really, really good. And the only disappointment I had was that I went with Bliss. So for that reason, I'm gonna give it a 4.9.
Jaxie?
Yeah, I'm going 5 on this.
Yeah, 5. Monty?
I'll give it a 4.
Yeah. Not because, I'm going to give it 4 3/4. Not because I went Ray Ripley or anything. It doesn't really matter. But prediction wise, Jaxie, you're on fire at this moment in time. You won Battleground as well, NXT. We've not done the Worlds
Woo!
Collide. So
Hell
you
yeah.
do well. Yeah, I mean, so did I, but it's not about me. It's not about me. So Dublin our Prediction League 2025. This is before Worlds Collide and Money in the Bank. Bonus League, Gina's on 9, Jaxie's on 12, I'm on 13, Monty on 14. AEW, oh, I hate to see it. Jackson James on 0, Junior on 1, Monty on 3, and then the WWE one, which is today we're doing. I'm on 2, Junior on 4, Monty Jaxie on 5. So, predictions. Gina, as you mentioned, you went Alexa Bliss. I went Ray Ripley, and Monty and Jaxie went Naomi. I wonder why they're top of the list for. I don't know. So they're on 1, and Gina and I are on 0. Mr. Iguana got a big pop when he was shown in the crowd. Get in there, son. And a match made at Worlds Collide was Octagon Jr. versus Dominic Mysterio for the Intercontinental Championship. Octagon took control early and hit a springboard moonsault to ground Dom at ringside. Liv watched as Daddy Dom seemed to be over his head right out the gate. Dom managed to use his slight size advantage to take over, but Luchador kept himself in the fight. Dom eventually hit a 619, followed by a frog splash to get the win in a short but competitive match. I mean, Jaxie, if you haven't heard the news, you're probably thinking, what the fuck am I watching right now,
Yeah, I mean, again, this came out of nowhere. Like, this was announced on the day, right?
Yeah, literally during the Worlds Collide event about 2.5 hours
Yeah.
earlier.
But you can't say that it or deny that it was not entertaining. I think like Dom really is just continuously excelling in the ring, and like putting him against veterans like this and just delivering the level of work that they're doing has just been great. So I was very confused that this match ended up on the match card, but at the same time, thoroughly entertained and enjoyed by it. I thought, both sides did extremely well. And it was just really funny just watching Liv like terrified of the iguana.
Yeah. Well, this is the thing, Monty, isn't it? I mean, if this was booked during, or at Worlds Collide rather than probably being pre-planned, it probably would be Mr. Iguana in this matchup, even though lo and behold, he might have lost.
Yeah, he definitely probably was gonna lose, but this is really cool. I mean, a lot of people may not know the history of Octagon Junior. He is basically the opposite of Penta, so like they have a history there. So it's kind of cool to see Octagon Junior in a WWE ring, knowing that. I would love to see if WWE decide to go, or even if it's on a AAA card, decide to go back into that history between Octagon and Pentagon Junior, because him and Penta have it's a lot. It's a storied history. But anyway, it was cool. Again, I thought this was fine. I'm happy it was there, but if it was just gonna be a 5 minute match, then I almost wish you give us a longer actual showcase on another show. To me, that's kind of where I was at. But I mean, it was good to see Dom get a title defense, and it was like you said, a competitive 5 minute match. But a 5 minute match on my PLE, you can keep that, brother.
Yeah. I think the question is, we wonder if Dom will be at Triple Mania. But, Gina, Dom's got fans now. And again, Monty just pointed something interesting. Will he continue to fight shapes? Will Mr. Triangle be next to challenge for the Intercontinental Championship?
I have no idea, but I think whatever they do plan at the moment, it's working for Dom because I think he's really, making his own mark with this title. But I just hope that they do also try to make him a little bit more serious, like especially with the tomfoolery that's going on with the girls at the moment. At one point, I would love to see Dom just break and be like, you say I'm the Dom daddy, but I'm not because I'm always bossed around by Rhea. Then you live, and now Roxanne, you want to try it? All of you bitches, fuck off. I would love something like that to happen, and him just walk off with his belt into the sunset. So we'll see. But I'm still enjoying his character right now, and I think he really is, setting his own path into history with this belt at the moment.
Yeah, about that. All right, so scores out of 5 then. Jaxie, what are you going to give this one?
Um, I'll give this a 3 3/4.
3 3/4. Monty?
3.5.
And Gina?
Yeah, 3.5.
3.5. Predictions, we all went Dom. So Gina James on 1, Monty Jax on 2. As we've got Lia Valkyria versus Becky Lynch next for the Women's Intercontinental Championship. The man immediately took control and sent the champ out of the ring. She was dominant and did not let up on her former friend, but Lia eventually began to show some life. The match got more competitive as it progressed and Valkyria was able to get in more offense, but big time Beck still seemed to have the upper hand more often. The crowd broke into dueling chants. They started getting closer to the finish. Both women looked strong, but the champ was going to put up a lot more fight and take the man to rethink her strategy. Lynch wasn't able to win with a super manhandle slam, so she resorted to cheating by grabbing a handful of tights, and we should have Valkyria down for the pin. Becky played uphill by making Lia raise her hand and strap the Intercontinental title to her, but Lia hit with a German suplex and a night ring to shut her up. Monty, what are your thoughts on this?
I think honestly, you can make a case this probably was the best wrestled match. I don't know. Maybe we're gonna talk about the next Money in the Bank. So I don't know about match of the night, but the best wrestled, just like straight up 1-on-one. And I know this is like, matter of fact, it might have been what this is like. It's only a competition in that case would have been Dom, but they just have insane chemistry together. I don't know if it was better than the other title match or even their matches in their NXT, but it just seemed like whenever these two get in the ring, she brings out the best in Lyra. And you can say what you want about Becky, but that's something that's what the greats do. That's what the greats do. They bring out the best in whoever they're facing. And in this case, I think this feud, just from that perspective alone, if you didn't know that Lyra can go, or as some people just say, "Wow, Bird Lady can wrestle." If you didn't know that, I think this feud at least gave you that. So I can be positive about it from that perspective. But again, I was looking forward to a Bailey interference in one of these situations. So the fact that we didn't get it and we just kind of got like a screwy finish was kind of deflating, but it makes sense because if you take into account what story they're trying to tell with Becky, because Becky is still talking a big game like she's the best and she's that, but she struggled to beat she struggled and had to cheat to beat basically a newcomer or someone who we would look at who was coming for Becky's spot. At least that's the picture that they're trying to paint. So yeah, I mean, I like it from that storytelling element, but yeah, the fact that Bailey at this moment felt forgotten to me, still at this point, I was kind of a little bit, annoyed with. But yeah, overall, I think they just had another excellent match. I gave the match itself 4 1/4 because even with the screwy finish, I just think they have fantastic chemistry together. But the result, even though I know they kind of gave it away with the stipulation, because when you're trying to say, oh, you can never challenge for this, you always kind of go against that. I still thought that overall that we got a really good match here, and I understand the story they're trying to tell.
Yeah. I mean, I've really enjoyed the matches in the feud, but I feel the brawling is just too overdone in wrestling, let alone the feud in general. But as you mentioned, I mean, Gina, you mentioned it as well. If WWE want the Bird Lady nickname to go away, maybe they should stop giving Lyra wings to wear to the ring, just for a few weeks or so.
Yeah, I totally get you. I mean, for me, I will agree with Monty in the sense of I think it is not like her best match, maybe, but it's the best I've ever seen Lyra. And I think Becky brings that out in her. So I thought it was a good match between them both. I did enjoy it. I was a little bit surprised that they let Lyra kick out of that manhandle slam. I was quite surprised that they let her kick out of that. But for me, in a way, that was quite a good move because even though she was due to lose here, I think, even seeing that put her on the mark to show why she was the champion in the first place. And, yeah, it showed her
Yeah.
tenacity for sure.
Exactly, taking her best shot, and Becky having to resort to
Yeah,
cheating rather than beating Lyra like that. And Jaxie, I
exactly.
think
I also gave this a 4.25.
I've fallen a quarter. Jaxie, I mean, thoughts and your score as well.
I mean, I forget where was it? Did they face off at WrestleMania previously? Was it WrestleMania?
No, it's Backlash. They won
Backlash.
the titles at Mania.
Oh yeah, that was it.
Lyra
Yeah,
lost them, so Lynch snapped and beat her up,
yeah, yeah,
and
yeah.
then Backlash match.
So I think everyone who's listened to our previous pods know how like Lyra v Becky for me was a dud at Backlash. However, I must admit, like, I agree with a lot of what both Monty and my sister have said on this match. I think that this was actually the better match over the Backlash match. However, again, I feel like the finish was just really like, yeah, it was a dud, you know. But I feel like for once, like Lyra really delivered in the ring for me. I do agree, lose the wings, because honestly, I'm really sorry. They just look stupid to me. That might just be my opinion, but they really just look stupid. However, yeah, like I'm glad of the outcome. I just I don't know which way like things are gonna go for Lyra now. I feel like she's like kind of gonna be in like sort of that funny position of I'm not sure whether they're going to look to push her elsewhere or for any other belt, or whether or not she might sort of fade into catering. You know, so it's interesting, and I'm not sure where she's going to go from here. Um, but for Becky, I feel like this was needed with her comeback and everything. You know.
Yeah, and she makes history becoming Intercontinental champion. So, what was your score?
I mean, I'll go same 4.25.
4.25. Yeah, I'm going to go 4.25. Well, I noticed something on commentary as well about Wade Barrett. And the thing is, he knows what he's talking about. So then that makes Pat McAfee quieter and just says stuff like, wow, that kick was hard. So, I don't mind it. Anyway, the feud will continue probably. Predictions we went Bex apart from Monty, so it means Jaxie's on 3, the rest on 2. I feel like he's given us a chance, but I'm going to take it. And then the men's Money in the Bank, Jaxie is on for a perfect score, like Battleground, but she did lose in the main event of that. I'm sure it won't happen here with this matchup. We've got Rollins versus Knight versus Penta versus Americano versus Solo versus Andrade. Rollins was the first man out. Knight was the last to make his entrance. Everyone surrounded Rollins and tossed him out the ring right away. Sikoa tried to play friendly with Andrade, Penta, and Knight, but was quickly taken out. Maracana suffered the same fate when Knight drop-kicked a ladder into his face. The crowd chanted for tables as more ladders started coming into play. It didn't take long before people started climbing ladders in the attempt to win, obviously. All 6 guys end up on ladders together at one point, but everyone eventually crashed and burned. Maracano made a climb from the floor all the way up to 3 ladders to almost win, but Knight took him down and ruined his chances of winning. Rollins eventually called for Bron, Baker, and Bronson Reed to come out and help. Fatu and Jason Mateo showed up to help out Solo a few moments later. However, Fatu stopped Sikoa from climbing the ladder and said he hated him for taking Solo out with super kick, followed by a moonsault. I know it's not the end of the matchup, but Jaxie, I've got to ask, ain't that a kick in the bollocks at this point, eh?
I mean, honestly, of all times to pull this shit, and you think now, I cannot tell you, James, how loud I shouted, and I don't regret it. And I don't feel sorry for my neighbor.
I know, horrible, horrible. Even with all the ladder spots, the most impressive thing might have been Fatu hitting a pop-up Samoan drop to Bronson Reed. And after preventing Knight from winning, Rollins climbed up and retrieved the briefcase to claim the victory. Gina, what were your thoughts on that?
Sorry, I started talking on mute too.
Oh, stop doing it to me.
um, I'm gonna mimic exactly what my sister just said. This match was awesome. I'm pissed. Jacob, I'm one of your biggest fans right now, but in that moment in time, it is the first time I've truly hated you because you screwed my prediction. Oh my gosh, I was screaming so loud because of this. Like, could you not have done this like maybe after, like let Solo win and then like beat him up or something, you know? I was truly upset by the end of it just because of that, because of who I went with. I also feel like a bit of an idiot because I shouldn't have been surprised that it went to Seth. You know, I really shouldn't have been with the way that he's been pushed in his story, the way his storyline looks like it's going. I shouldn't have been surprised. So, yeah, all in all, it was a great match for me. It was very entertaining. I loved that everyone kind of ganged up on Seth in the beginning and just threw him out like a piece of trash. That part was great. So yeah, overall, I thought it was a great match and it was very entertaining. It does annoy me when I hear the crowd say, "We want tables." You're gonna get fucking tables. Just be patient and shut up, man. Like, yeah, it does wind me up a little bit when I hear the crowd doing that because I'm just trying to listen to the commentary sometimes and I can't hear it because these idiots are chanting for tables. When you know you're gonna get tables, you will get tables. Just be patient.
But you say
Anyway.
that. I was about to say, I thought Way Barrett was talking about nipple size at one point, and I'm going, that can't be right, surely.
Exactly. It's like you just merge the crowd with the commentary, and it just makes the commentary different to what it actually is. But overall, I thought it was a good match and entertaining, so I'll give it a 4.5.
Well, 4.5. Yeah, no, it was good. So, I mean, and again, Jaxie, predictions are bad, but Fatu versus Solo should be fun. I mean, again, that would be good. And the
Yeah.
match was good. I mean, we won't talk about the sponsored ladder. I don't want to talk about that.
No, I think again, all great points and all I agree with. I too can go no further than 4.5 just because of the screwy win. To me, I took that personally. But yeah, overall, I think as always, a great ladder match was delivered by all men.
And Monty, poor LA Knight, he had a little bit of a boo-boo face as he come out, and I was like, well, he is definitely not fucking winning them. But again, Seth might not have been a surprise, but we did see Bron actually fly on a spear as well, so that was quite impressive.
Yeah, but everything Brian does is impressive, man. Every week he do something that you just like, yep, he's a freak. But I came away from this match like just weird because it just felt like that whole Jacob part didn't even feel like it was supposed to be in this match. Like it just felt separate from the whole match. Like the whole match stopped. It felt like for that little bit of storytelling, and then you have you just have the stuff like you mentioned. I didn't know. Apparently, I'm just underestimating the popularity of LA Knight. It was so many people disappointed that he didn't win again, and I'm just like, oh, we still doing this? We still? I'm not mad. Like I love LA Knight, so I get it. But at the same time, we really think he that close to world championship material? I didn't know that. I seen people shitting on Jey Uso in favor of LA Knight because of this result, and I'm just like, wow, okay, all right, I didn't know. I guess I'm just behind, but I thought it was cool, man. I had to give a shout out. My favorite person in this match, y'all, I don't think I'm changing my tune on the whole gimmick, but hey, man, Chad Gable was awesome, and then he had just had one of the best matches of the year the same day. So like El Grande, man, for somebody who had no business, in my opinion, having to do anything in this match, if you ask me, if I go out there and I give you a classic match earlier in the day, and then he still had found moments in this match to shine. Like I said, Chad Gable, under the mask or whatever, he deserved the world. I don't know when he ever gonna get it, but hopefully Chad Gable gets his own accolade. I guess maybe he'll have to do it under this gimmick. But yeah, so this is good, man. I got 4.5. I think is very fair. Seth Rollins. I mean, I couldn't keep ignoring it. I didn't. They basically told us that this was Seth's to lose, and I don't know. Triple H loves some Seth Rollins, so I was like, you know what? Surprise me, Trip. If you're gonna give it to somebody else, prove it. So that's kind of why I went with Seth, and here we are. So yeah, good match. Like I said, kind of weird ending because I didn't feel like it was much pressure for Seth. I thought like Seth just kind of took his time, took the briefcase, and that was it. But the ring was cleared and everything was good. But like I said, good match, best match of the night. But yeah, no surprise, and it's one of those situations where it's like, are you mad that it wasn't that you're not shocked? And I don't think it's one of them things you kind of ask yourself, would you prefer a surprising result here, or would you are you fine with what makes the most sense? So that's kind of where I'm at with it.
But again, the issue is, and as we get to Raw, we'll see it, is the fact of they've gone back to a guy who's already been at the top of the mountain rather than, like you said, taking a chance on someone
Hmm.
uh, to have that opportunity. But again, that has been WWE's problem
That's
for
just that. Yeah, that's the MO.
20 years, But
Yep.
I'm going to give this a 4.5 as well. Predictions: the girls went solo. I was shocked when I saw solo on the predictions. I'm not going to lie, but that's why they're your choice. We boys went for Seth, so it means Gina's on 2 and the rest are on 3 as we head to the main event, which is John Cena and Logan Paul versus Jey Uso and Cody Rhodes. After what felt like way too long for everyone to make their entrance, Rhodes and Cena were the first two to lock up. Cena quickly tagged out to Paul after the first takedown from Rhodes. The first half of the match was slow and methodical. That's me being nice. The crowd seemed to be having a good time. The Hills had the
Boy.
upper hand for most of the match, while Uso took most of the damage. Eventually, Cena and Paul started having issues as they argued. Jay made a hot tag to refresh Cody. Paul hit a splash on Cena by accident when Rhodes avoided the impact, but nobody was able to capitalize. All 4 men were down in the ring at once. Paul hit a moonsault that put Uso through the announce table, but took himself out in the process, leaving Cena and Rhodes alone in the ring. The ref was distracted when Cena used his title's weapon, and then someone dressed in black attacked Cena and took him out, only to reveal himself to be R-Truth. The crowd went wild for him, and Rhodes hit his finisher to get the pin and the win. Jaxie, what were your thoughts on this main event?
Okay. I have two kind of different views. Like the match itself was okay. It was decent. It was good to kind of see both Jay and Cody like kind of reunited in that sort of like sense. Um, like I have mixed feelings about the R-Truth thing. Don't get me wrong. I was kind of relieved, obviously, with what's going to kind of what we'll probably discuss after like Money in the Bank, what this actually meant for the future of R-Truth. However, I was extremely confused, in a way where it was kind of like, we've had a whole series of releases as of late, and of anyone to kind of like return like this like almost immediately. I was not expecting it to be R-Truth, so I kind of came out of the ending of that match very confused about about the decisions behind WWE and what they're doing. I kind of started to question like, are the executive team like all just kind of losing it? Like what's going on here,
Yeah, I mean, there's so much going into the truth, and like I said, we talk about the press conference and everything that's happened since. But as you talk about with the match, it was fine. But Monty, as Jax just said, the main talking point at that point was R-Truth showing up and costing Cena, and even forgetting kind of Cody, maybe picking up a bit of revenge from WrestleMania, even though I don't think the crowd really cared, or maybe they did. I don't know.
Yeah, no, I wouldn't. Yeah, R-Truth usurped all of it. I mean, it was about truth. Everything I seen after that show was about that match, about truth. I mean, the match itself, it went for too long. Logan Paul did a nice flip where I think he hurt himself, so that was cool. And but other than that, Jay got killed, so I kind of already knew what was possibly gonna happen the next night because I'm like Jay was getting killed this entire match. They setting it up because for some reason Jay just looked like why is Jay the weak link in a Logan Paul Cena? Like we got Logan Paul, we got a dude that's gonna retire, and I get Cody is gonna be the hot tag guy, I get that, but Jay barely did anything offensively if you really look at the match. So he just took damage and set it up perfectly what I figured what was gonna happen after that. So that kind of spoiled that for me. But seeing Truth, in my opinion, saved the entire thing because whether people want to understand it or not, for me, it was dope because this is the first time, one of the first times ever where WWE ain't whether they want to whether we'll talk about what Triple H said, but whether they want to admit it or not, that's one of them first times, or kind of like what they'll always eventually do it, but WWE has a way of doing it enough time to where they're not apologizing for that initial release or whatever. Well, this one happened so fast, and Truth was taking over every arena they went to after that, to where people were saying they want Truth, to where they immediately won for the first time ever in like 2 weeks had to admit, all right, we screwed up. Whether they said it or not, that's what that meant to me. Because why would Truth be there, and why would he need to? Why would you do that? You can't tell me that was the finish a month or so ago. Anyway, in my opinion, I think Cody pinning Cena was, but us getting there with Truth, that was because of the fans, and it was one of those great. That's the only thing I love. I love sometimes in wrestling where you can tell the people the paying customers who come to those arenas is shaping what we see because they the ones who made their voices known. And I agree with you, Jax. There's been plenty of people we've seen get let go, but none of them was getting. You didn't hear no we want Carlito too. You didn't hear no we want no. And no offense to anybody who had got let go, but you didn't hear none of that. You didn't hear that people were very sad about Dakota, but they didn't go in there. None of them people went in them arenas. None of them casuals went to them arenas saying, "Where's we want Dakota?" None of them people said that, but they did that for Truth. So that's strong enough, in my opinion, by itself. And we already know, we found out later that backstage talent themselves also wanted Truth back. So I thought that saved this entire match for me. It's gonna be the most memorable thing to come out of it. Other than that, this match didn't even need to be the main event. I'd rather you have Self standing up tall with the briefcase, because other than that, this wasn't even really. It was boring, like you mentioned, John. You was being nice. It was boring. They did like 3-4 rest holds in a row. Like you said, the fans seemed to be into it, but I was tired. I was sick of it. It wasn't really the most interesting match ever. But when True showed up, that's what got me excited, and that's what made me be like, oh, okay, what we gonna do with this now? Like, is this we just calling them back up for because you want them, or we gonna do something out, make something out of it? And I got my answer. But yeah, man, this was True saved this in my opinion. Because other than that, to me, this match was just fine. But with Truth there, I'll say it was 3 3/4.
If this wasn't the main event, though, Jey Uso, as world champion, spoiler alert, wouldn't have had a main event PLE match. So again, I can maybe.
But did he really anyway? But look at the match.
Yeah,
did he really have one anyway? No, I agree with you. I agree with you. But like, that's my point. Like, Jay they didn't give Jay much of anything anyway. But
well, let's get to point. Let's get to point. Gina, and I have to ask you, and again, I know about relationships, they don't really matter, but Logan Paul has obviously had a romantic relationship or been linked with drones in the past, because his involvement with drones in matchups is kind of weird, and I don't want to see what he does with like his private drones. Do you know what I mean? Kind of freaky.
Yeah, definitely. I don't really like it, if I'm being truly honest. I think the emphasis on the drone usage is just like very, oh, look at the future of what we'll be doing and things like that. And in a way, when does technology get a bit too much? It's kind of like if you compare it a little bit to an anime. Like for me, I watch a lot of anime, and some of my most favorite animes are the hand-drawn ones before all the CGI came into it. So yeah, in my eyes, Logan Paul can flaunt his drones as much as he wants, but it's still not going to stick for me. It's just not. It's not happening.
What an old lady.
No, it'd be impressive if Logan did the old JVC video recorders.
Can be used to breach privacy as well. So, like Jim said, I don't know what he does with his private drones, but forcing it down the WWE universe's throat again as well is just another way for them to market what's going to be the next big thing. So.
Yeah, let's JR's commentaries. It's in his ass. It's in his ass. No, we'll move on. We'll move on from that. Scores. Jaxie, what are you going to give out of 5?
I'll give this a 4 1/4.
4 1/4. Gina.
I thought this was a really good match, and I really enjoyed it, so I'll give it 4 3/4.
4 3/4. I'm going to give it a 4 1/4. Predictions all went Cody Unuso. So final scores: Gina on 3, James, Jaxie, Monty on 4. Hey, so well. Sorry, Gina. I don't. The rest of us win, I suppose. So the prediction league at this moment in time, the WWE, obviously, all just with an extra point each. All right. So match of the night. Monty picked the men's Money in the Bank. Rest of us gone women's Money in the Bank. Monty, why don't you start us off? Who's your MVP and what is your rating out of 10?
It was an eight and a half, maybe. Probably eight. I'm gonna go. I'm just stay with 8. It was a good show overall. It wasn't the funnest. It wasn't banger after banger type of show. But it did have some good moments, I thought, and it was strong overall. And like I said, you did have like the surprise at the end to kind of leave you with a good cathartic feeling. And then you had Naomi winning. I'm gonna give Naomi MVP, even though I believe people like Stephanie and Chad are probably like the true MVPs because of how much they work. If we're just talking about people who I felt like in on this show and who came up the biggest, like I said, if you know what Naomi had been through and how she was basically thrown out, cast aside, and like talked about very, very bad a few years ago, I didn't forget. So I know a lot of people like to just act like, oh, we always love Naomi, whatever this. Yeah, yeah, yeah. When she left from Mercedes, there was a lot of fans, so-called fans, talking out of their neck like they knew the situation and like that, and they still talk bad about Mercedes. But anyway, Naomi is being in this position and crawling to get back where she is and doing all this work to change her character at this stage of her career and possibly on the precipice of her greatest run. I'm gonna give her all the love. She can be my MVP. And yeah, my match of the night was the men's ladder match, but that's it. But I give it an 8.
Gina, what about you? Score out of 10 MVP.
I totally agree with everything Monty said. Everyone preaching behind Naomi now, but I remember how many people gave her hate when she walked out on that time. So again, we know that there are a lot of hypocritical fans out there, and just want to say a big screw you to all of them. But either way, the overall show was great for me. I think my top match was the women's, wasn't it?
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah. So I would go Naomi for MVP, but because my top match was the women's, I'm actually going to give my MVP to R-Truth. Shout out to him coming back because I was a bit sad at hearing him lose out. Overall rating of the show, uh, I'll give it an 8.
Give it an 8. And Jaxie, what about you?
Yeah, obviously women's match. My VIP is going to Naomi, but a special shout out to Truth too. Overall 8 as well. I think that's a decent score for it.
Yeah, I'm going to give it 8.5. Again, it was 3 hours long, and that was with no adverts, so still a little bit long, especially when it's only 5 matches. The MVP is so low because not only did he take a sickening bump through the ladder, but he really did make me laugh out loud during that matchup as well. All right, so we go press conference with Vic Joseph, Pete Roberts, and Big E. We've got Becky Lynch. We're, of course, the new Intercontinental Champion. She was first appear in the press suite. Fully in character, she insisted the media members stand to show respect before answering questions. She said for a break from company, it was amazing because she's got to take a break from the opinions of the fans. Again, in character, but this wasn't a problem. She said she had a problem with the fact her daughter wanted Naomi to win Women's Money in the Bank match and that she wasn't afraid of her. Naomi then appeared with Big E, Pete Rosenberg, Vic Joseph in front of the fans. She wept as Big E paid tribute to her, saying she was having the best run right now. But as a crowd chant, you deserve it. She told fans to shut up. She said she returned to W from TNA with a new attitude, be focused on return to the top of the card. She laughed off Becky Lynch's comments and said nobody with gold in the women's division was safe. And Jaxie, as we mentioned with Naomi, it's just great, especially have this moment, the connection that she had with Big E, the history that they have together. And she really does deserve it. I know we just mentioned it, but she truly does with all the hard work she's put in.
Yeah, I mean, again, as Monty said before, she's doing her best work right now. So I'm kind of glad that this is the one thing that WWE are doing right now.
Yeah, it's funny, isn't it, actually? Yeah, but this is really working. Cody Rhodes and Jey Uso joined the outdoor panel. Vic Joseph asked him about R-Truth's return. Cody said that the fans wanted truth, and it was everyone's job from Triple H to Nick Khan to give the fans what they want. What a corporate answer. Turning to Jey Uso's total defense against Gunther and Raw, who said he was banged up but would get with it. Cody said Gunther didn't stand a chance. They were asked what it was like
Cody
to
didn't believe that, by the way. You can look at Cody's face when he said it. I'm like, Cody, you lied. You don't got to lie to the man, but go ahead.
Cody said he was swimming upstream, being seen as opponent during his final run, but wanted to be in that spot. And Cody confessed that him and Jay were drunk at the press conference appearance at Fastlane 2023, Monty. What a fucking shock that was. I think it was more than drinking, though. Do you know what I'm saying?
Yeah. It was a little bit more if you ask me. But yeah. It was what a shocking, insight. Because I think we all figured that one out pretty fast that they were not sober brained, but yeah. Again, good vibes from Cody. But you always that's the thing with Cody, and that's the reason why I know he keeps rejecting it, but whenever he does turn heel, I promise you he's just gonna be so good at it because everything he says is so laced, not just political. I'm not just trying to call him like that way, but it's just you always got a side eye Cody when he talks because he has that little bit of like, are you bullshitting me, Cody, right now? Type of deal. So that's the element that I know he can lean into if he ever turns. But yeah, man, they have great chemistry together. So it was a cool moment here of him acknowledging what we already know.
Yeah, and he called himself a carny in the past. So if you don't know that, then you should really know. Always take what he says with a pinch of salt. We've got the Paul Levesque, or as we call him, Triple H. He was coy on Saturday about the circumstances surrounding R-Truth. He started the press by saying Los Angeles was very special, blah, 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 blah. Well, made loads of money, blah, blah, blah. Wells Clyde was incredible. He mentioned all-time Arena Gate and everything that was just fucking brilliant. He said John Cena had earned the right to do his retirement run exactly as he wanted. He was asked the following question about R-Truth's situation. He said, I want to know exactly what was actually released or leaving the company, and if so, how much did fans play a role in it, or was it something else made you guys decide? Triple H simply responded, I love the question. You enjoying the show? All part of the show, man. He then talked about Evolution 2, said he was thrilled, and then moved on from it. I was shocked. But I mean, Monty, I don't know if you were the first one to take this, but the arrogance from Triple H, I don't know if I should be surprised or shocked. Just, do you know what I mean? Just be like, we've spoken about it, not on the pod, but it'd be simple to be like, look, fans spoke, we listened, we fucked up, but that's what we're here for. We are like the people's company. But instead, it's, you were worked, were you? And R-Truth then came out and said, no work.
No work. Right. R-Truth immediately was like, no work. He gave credit to other people. Like Truth literally pointed out that the people was the reason why he was back. So yeah, man. And then you come to find out other details about how Truth had basically, they were calling him all week up to the show, and Truth was ignoring them until he got a call from Nick Khan on like Friday for real negotiation. Is when Truth actually answered. Truth was prepared to move on and do his own thing, and you know what I mean. And he kind of, cold shouldered them as he should, in my opinion. You give somebody so much of your career, so much time, and they just let you go like that. And it's business, I get it, but again, the people wanted Truth, and Nick Khan, finally got through, and they actually renegotiated a deal with him. But for Triple H to sit there, like you mentioned, and just to kind of be smug about it, and I know he claims to hate internet fans, and I guess he probably hates the media too. But at this point, you do these press conferences. You don't have to do a press conference, Triple H. You really don't. You really don't have to come out here and tell us all of this information nobody asked you for every PLE. So I don't know, man. I really don't get it because, like you said, John, it's really just that simple. The fans spoke, we listened. You don't even got to admit you was wrong. The fans spoke, we listen. Show love to your audience and move on. But no, you want to play this game, and then you have literally the next day or literally hours after you say that, people debunking what you say. It's stupid.
It's I mean, Gina, have you ever seen? We talk about the kind of from when he was released to this moment. And then for Triple H, like I said, just to say that. And again, it's a livelihood of someone, you know, careers and all this kind of stuff. And it was just, I mean, I don't know what you thought, but did you think it was then a storyline? It's crazy to think Triple H would say that.
No, the only reason why I never truly believed it was a storyline is because our truth, I've always known that our truth has been close to Vince, and I am one of those ones who would never see truth being kind of let go, to be honest, especially because he was still being featured regularly, even if it was just backstage for a little funny segment or something. But every segment that he was involved in, he always had it and people entertained. I mean, the whole thing with him in Judgment Day and him making that little advert with the baby Judgment Days, like that was just so brilliant. And that's still something that will remember probably in the next 20 years. Our Truth making that baby segment with the Judgment Day, you know? So because he had so much of a presence, even if he wasn't in a serious storyline, I didn't see this happening. So when he said it wasn't a work, I believed him.
Well, it's so interesting, you know. And again, we're going to talk a bit more about our truth. We've still got a couple of Raws and SmackDowns to get through, and not a lot happened on them, you know. So let's start with Raw the next night. John Cena starting the show, talk trash, and CM Punk interrupted. And face Punk versus Heel Cena could only happen in 2025. It was a nice face to face. Punk said, "I'm here to defend the people." He said, "Are you mad because the establishment picked me and the people never picked you?" And he wants a title match. Master Mitb Cena agreed, only if he did something he seemingly unlikely ever do, compete in Saudi Arabia at Night of Champions. For Punk and answer, Seth Rollins emerged with the Money in the Bank briefcase just to show us he could cash in at any time and any place. So Jaxie, straight off Money in the Bank, we're going to get CM Punk and John Cena, and a lot of people call Punk a hypocrite.
Yeah, I mean, there's two sides of it, every coin, isn't there? So you are going to get this, especially with the very strong words that Punk had released about this, and he had stood by them for ages. So it's the internet. People don't forget, So this is to be expected. Either way, it's really bad, but I've kind of lost a little bit of interest, especially when it comes to John and his long rants with his promos, so I kind of just switch off. So yeah, I mean, I wonder whether or not Punk can pull this off and just get it off of John already.
We shall see. AJ Styles beat Chad Gable. The 2025 Queen of the Ring tournament kicked off with a fatal four-way, pitting Ray Ripley, Kairi Sane, Roxanne Perez, and Liv Morgan against each other for the right to advance to the singles match round. For the match, Morgan refused Perez's invitation to work together. Sane delivered a dive, wiped them both out, added the insane elbow to be down Morgan, and covered only for Perez to come in from nowhere, stack her up, and win the match. Roxanne Perez actually won. That's good to see. Becky Lynch gave a promo. She called the former champion out, only to be attacked by the returning Bayley, who sent the man scurrying into the sanctuary of the crowd and then stood tall to close things out. And Monty, you want to see Bayley, and she showed up on Raw.
Yeah, better late than never, obviously. And it was cool. I honestly think that this it's funny because my wife mentioned something when they were doing a promo. I think the week after this or whatever, a couple shows after this, and like Bailey and Becky haven't really feuded much. Like, out of the four horsewomen, you always kind of lump them all together, and you think they all got this crazy history. But Becky and Bailey have kind of somehow always either been on the same side, or if they were on opposite side, they were on different shows or something. I know they have feuded, but it was never really like prominent or over a title like to this extent like this. So, even if they've had a match or so in the past, this is an opportunity for two of the best to kind of weave a story and tell a story now with Bailey kind of taking on this new kind of egomaniacal version of the man. So I'm definitely interested in it. But like kind of mentioned earlier, I do wonder do Lyra just have to move to the side, or will this turn into like maybe by SummerSlam we get a three-way or something? It'd be interesting to see.
Yeah, without a doubt. Well, we see our truth hopping the guardrail, jumping in the outs table, and speaking to the WWE fans for the first time. since the return at Money in the Bank. He credited the fans for bringing him back, but warned that while he's back for them, he's back for himself too. He shed the funny comedy act That Is Our Truth and announced that Ron the Truth Killings is here, and ended the segment by cutting his hair and left through the crowd. And Gina, I mean, just like that, he reinvents himself.
I mean, yeah, just like that. He's got that much of a fan base that they'll take it as well. And that should kind of tell Triple H enough to be like, actually, maybe we did make a mistake, because people are just here for it. There are loads of people who try to change their character up or try to change something up and it doesn't work. You just see the crowd either bored that they're not reacting, or they're not interested. They want the old one that they're used to back. But the crowd are fully behind our truth, so it's working.
We got our 2025 King of the Ring tournament kicked off with Mysterio, Zayn, Breaker, and I put Mysterio, but I'm sure it's someone else in the Fatal 4-Way. LA Knight came through and got a measure of Avenger Money in the Bank, delivering blunt force trauma to Breaker and taking him out of the equation. Back in the ring, Zayn delivered the Helluva Kick to Mysterio and cashed his ticket to the semi-finals of the tournament. We then saw the return of Nikki Bella. Yeah, me too. She returned to start the hype for Evolution. But of course, Liv Morgan showed up. I would focus more on this, but with what happened afterwards, I won't. Main event was Gunther versus Jey Uso for the world title. The match was an excellent exercise in crowd manipulation and drama, particularly reversals in and out of the sleeper, as well as the near falls late. The crowd was there for it till it became clear the babyface had nothing left and would ultimately passed out in the arms of his opponent. Your new world champion, Gunther. This was interesting. Jey Uso gave a promo afterwards, which was uploaded to YouTube. He was with his younger son, and he said he's sorry. Jaxie, what are your thoughts on this?
I mean, this was pretty bittersweet, especially sort of like on a random Raw, and especially given the sort of time frame that Jey Uso had as champion. This did come as a shock, but one that wasn't like pleasantly received, as far as I'm aware. I feel like, going forward, as what we would also discuss, there is clearly a reason for that behind creative. But like, if no one saw it before, there was like sort of a viral tweet. It was a video of Rikishi on a podcast just talking about creative and just, them being actually bad at their job because of they kind of discussed like they didn't have any creative storyline for Jay. I mean, I must confess I'm not a writer, but you know what? I could think of plenty of storylines that you could have actually, done for Jay. I think this is an excuse in just poor writing, poor creative, really. So I feel really let down by WWE with this decision.
Yeah, but what's incredible, like, and Monty, I know I shouldn't really mention it because it's upset about Jay, but Gunther continues that fucking record of holding titles still. He just won't give it up, will he?
Right. It's the thing. He's probably the winningest wrestler of all time. Like, if you just like winning percentage, if it was a winning percentage thing and you actually tallied, like, ever since he's gotten WWE, I don't think there's anything like him almost at this point. Uh yeah, man, for Gunther is not, it's excellent. And Gunther's a killer. I mean, I think that's a part of my disappointment too, is that Gunther loses nothing. But at the same time, you book Gunther so crazy to where when he wasn't challenging Jay, you literally couldn't even put him on the show. Damn near. You know what I'm saying? Like, that's how crazy. That's how if he's not the world champion or if he's not challenging for a world title in a prominent position, then you have nothing for Gunther, and that's how dominant he's been. So it's insane. But yeah, man, it was one of them situations where I saw how much damage. I was like, okay, y'all setting it up for us to be sympathetic for Jay because he's been getting beat up. He's been getting in everybody else's business, whatever. And I get it. I get it from that storytelling element, but it's still, one of those situations where you want more. I saw this clip of the New Day being great heels and trolling Jay, and even Kofi was like, "Well, at least I got 6 months, At least I'm just chuckling because it's like, yeah, like at least Kofi got 6 months before they threw heels away for a gimmick match. Because what didn't they do that for Brock and freaking Cain Velasquez. Like, this is not new. They throw baby faces away for stuff that we'll talk about in a minute. But yeah, so that's the upsetting part. That's what makes me mad about it. Is that's why that's your reasoning at the moment. But yeah, man, Jay losing, I kind of seen it coming. I had kind of prepared myself. I didn't watch the match, honestly, because I knew it was going. I didn't watch the match the night of because I was like, yep, I kind of see this coming, and I don't even want to. I rewatched it and I saw how involved the fans was. I was like, well, at least the people was into it until the end. But yeah, it was a disappointing result.
Yeah, and then it was like a wet fart, wasn't it? And then everybody was deflated. But again, it's interesting. I say it's interesting, but it's not good to see, But again, with Gunther, I suppose congratulations. We'll move on to SmackDown, and we've got John Cena starting the show saying he would be on the Mount Rushmore 4 times. Cody Rhodes came to the ring and reminded him he pinned him at Money in the Bank. Randy Orton came to the ring, told him to get another title shot. LA Knight came to the ring to voice his opinion. Finally, R-Truth came to the ring and attacked John Cena. Jaxie, I think you're right about the long, monotonous John Cena segments. So we seem to see him starting the show with him and losing 20 minutes of our time, Anyway.
It feels like that. It feels like a whole monologue. It's like, John, this isn't a film set. Move on.
We got LA Knight and all remained in the ring because their fatal four-way were Kamala Hayes and Aleister Black. Knight looked like he was going to win, but Bronson Reed showed up and Von Breakker, of course, followed up with his spear. Mello hit a frog splash, but right into an RKO, which allowed him to pin Knight for the win. That will teach you, LA Knight. You think you're above your station? Eat that pin. Jacob Fu came out, and so did Sikoa. Eventually appeared on the screen, and Solo said, next week, if you say I love you, Solo, everything will be fine. We then got the Queen of the Ring quarterfinal match. Jade Cargill was out first to take on Piper Niven, Nia Jax, and Mi Chin. Cargill ended up getting the win by pinning Niven with Jaded. And again, Gina, I know we haven't had the other, so we haven't had Jade Cargill's semi-final match, but she seems to be the favourite at this moment in time, heading to King of the Ring, would be fair to say.
Yeah, it definitely looks like they're going to be pushing Jade to go that route, which I won't be mad at. I think it'll work out well for her. But again, part of me does feel like I laugh at the thought of the other women when they kind of show a bit of hope in backstage promos, like they're going to get it, because I'm just like, Jade's going to win this one.
And again, it's about time, isn't it? You can't, if she wins the title now, even if Naomi get involved, people can't say, oh, look, they're pushing her too hard and all this stuff. She's
definitely.
You know what I mean? Yeah.
If you look at where Jade first came into WWE and where she is now, I think she's more than enough earned like that top title spot, and going for it. It's about time to get her in that top title picture. So I look forward to it. I think her reign, whether it starts off with Naomi or whether Naomi gets involved after she gets it, I think either way will work, because they've just grown such a great feud. So for me, I look forward to seeing what they do with it. I just hope, again, they don't fumble.
Yeah, exactly. And Naomi and Tiffany had a chat as Naomi's about to leave. Jax attacked Stratton from behind. Champion tried to fend her off, but she ended up getting hit with an Annihilator. Naomi was about to cash in, but Jax stopped her. All right. After the break, Alex Shelley and Chris Sabin took on Joe Gacy and Dexter Loomis from the White Six, with, of course, Nikki Cross, Uncle Howdy, and Eric Rowan watching from the aisle. Loomis hit a huge leg drop from the top rope to get the pin and the win. Didn't really have much else, but nice to see the Whites, I suppose. Not seen them in a while. John Cena came storming to the ring after break to call out R-Truth. He said Truth crossed the line, disrespected him, so he called him for a fight. Instead of Ron kidding, CM Punk showed up. Punk tried to tell Cena he needs to stop what he's doing and give the crowd a happy ending to his run. As Punk was leaving, Truth attacked Cena from behind. He locked Cena in the STF, where Punk said the truth hurts, to mock him. Several security guards to pull him off. And Jaxie, this was good for what it was, but we already had John Cena out doing a fucking promo, and now he's out again.
Exactly. It was just like, it just felt like the John Cena show. And again, another reason why I brought up just the long promos. It felt just a long time spent on him,
Oh, God. Especially to come out. Like, we just seen you. Like, I know it's different people, but fuck me. The second Queen of the Ring quarterfinals saw Charlotte Flair, Alexa Bliss, Alba Fyre, and Candice LeRae compete for a spot in the semi-finals. As Flair had Fire locked in the figure 8, Bliss hit with a finish on the Ray and got the pin for Alba could tap out. Surprisingly, Flair walks away without making a big deal out of it. What a pro she is. And the main event was another King of the Ring quarterfinal match featuring Cody Rhodes, Andrade, Damien Priest, and Nakamura. Cody pinned Naka. Wasn't really much of a surprise, Monty. But again, I suppose it's nice to see Cody back in action. And no, Nakamura's not been released just yet.
And they let Nakamura look good for most of the days too, just for him to predictably get pinned. So it was cool to see Nakamura get some moves in too, you know. But yeah, it was a fun little battle, you know. Even though I think, like you mentioned, whenever Cody's in the match, you almost kind of got an idea of where we're going, especially in this scenario. But yeah, it was a still satisfactory. Was that the main event? It was definitely. I think it was definitely
Yeah.
one of the last matches. So yeah, so it was a satisfactory finish.
Yeah. On Raw, Liv started the show talking about Nikki Bella and EO, but unfortunately, is on a match later with Kairi Sane where she suffered a shoulder injury. And
What a
Gina,
freak
this is not.
accident, man.
I know it's not good. Gina, she could be out for 6 months. You know, fuck knows what happened with the women's tag titles. And
Oh my
again, as
God.
Monty said, it
Yeah.
was just an accident. You know, it wasn't intended.
It truly was an accident. I watched that match and I saw them do the replay as well. I saw how it wasn't anything to do with Kyrie and how she executed the move because she was nowhere near her shoulder at all. It generally was the way that Liv landed on her arm to dislocate her shoulder. And it's just so unfortunate because Liv is kind of, she was at such a high and then she had to kind of go out from an injury last time. And when she came back, it's kind of like she's had to rebuild that back up with the help of Judgment Day and Dawn behind her. And now she's at this all-time high again. She's just about to enter this feud with Nikki Bella, and this happens. I feel for her, man, because yeah, it's a bit wounding knowing like the storylines that was being put in place for her right now, with not only with Nikki Bella, but even the whole, Dominic and Roxanne Perez thing. But the funny thing is I've seen quite a lot go around about this as well. Not that it's work. Obviously, I saw Liv's shoulder get popped, so I know that that's real. But it's just funny that Rhea had a shoulder injury, went out, and that's how Liv came swooping
Yeah.
in, and now this is kind of happening again. It's the same cycle. She's got a shoulder injury, is going to be out, and Roxanne's going to be around. So
Yeah.
it'll be interesting to see what they do with the titles, whether they strip Raquel from them and give or the tournament, or give them to someone else, or it'll be interesting to see if Raquel's like, no, Roxanne could be my tag partner, and then seeing an unlikely friendship between these two grow. And then maybe that can be a nice storyline for Liv to come back to. That doesn't have to be revolved around Dom. Maybe it can actually be revolved around Raquel. So it's interesting, but it's also really unfortunate. And I really wish Liv a speedy recovery because it's sad to know that we're not going to see her for a couple of months now.
Yeah, and what maybe the only positive side is if it is 6 months, maybe sooner, a Royal Rumble return and that kind of babyface pop, and like we talked about with Rhea, maybe Liv could then take that to the next level. But again, it's just a shame because she has been a consistent talent for the last what seems like year and a half now on Raw. But we've got a quarterfinal match for the Queen of the Ring tournament, and Oscar returned and won against Stephanie Vaquera, Ivy Nile, and Raquel Rodriguez. And again, Jaxie, I'm not saying we're doing this a long time, but Oscar's been out for 13 months. Where did that time go? 13 months.
I mean, to be honest, with me being a fan of Oscars, I've felt that sort of length of time and felt that missing presence. But also, I was kind of irked at WWE. You already ruined her return. You could have actually had that as just a mystery guest and had that pop. I don't understand it. Again, after 13 months, that pop and just having an outline and just saying mystery person.
Yep.
Like that would have worked. So yeah, it just irks me the way they just announced it so casually. But okay.
Well, considering there was a spot open on the men's, like you said, that could have worked as well for Oscar. But hey, Jey Uso was put in that spot, so what can we do? And speaking of the man that beat Jey
Great
Uso,
booking, right? Yeah.
hey, Adam Pearce tonight. I'm not going to add it yet because I thought you were going to lose. But Gunther came to the ring to celebrate winning back the World Heavyweight Championship from Jey Uso. The ring general said Uso was the better man at WrestleMania 41, but every other night Gunther is untouchable. This led into what's next for the champion, but it seemed like the fans knew it before he did. The crowd started chanting Goldberg's name, and he actually did chant it as well, weren't just piped in, as he came out to confront the champion. He congratulated Gunther for telling me we'd be challenging him for the world title at Saturday night's main event on July 12th. Yay! All right, Monty, I'm going to go round the group here. So, Monty, I'll start with you. What were your thoughts on this? Because, again, we kind of knew this was going to happen.
James, what was Goldberg? Was Goldberg last match when he almost killed the Undertaker, or was it who was his last opponent?
Fucking hell, that's a good one.
Either
I'll
way it
tell you
go.
what, yeah, I'm gonna look it up.
Either way it go. The point is, I wanted him to leave and never come back and just give it up after that match. I understand we want to build and get money. Oh yeah, Goldberg last match, and let's get this merch off because I already see they selling the merch. And you said it, James. The fans in the building, most important people to WWE, they was into it. And I get it. When you hear that music, I guess you just kind of got to chant. To me, I wasn't feeling really much of this when it came to that, and whether Jay was there or not, you know, I don't know. I just like I mentioned earlier, we've had a babyface get his legs cut off for a gimmick match in the past with Kofi. This is very closely related, in my opinion, to that. And yeah, man, it was one of the situations where I mentioned in the past, I don't really need to see Goldberg again. And like I know it's a select few of fans out there, for example. There's people who still want Brock to come back. I don't need to see Brock again. I've said that numerous of times. But there's plenty of people who wouldn't mind that and we'll watch it. So hey, it is what it is. I'm not a fan of this. I don't need to see Goldberg again. I read you what he said in the past about how his body been falling apart. So I don't think this is a guy that needs to be out here having a wrestling match right now, based on that information. But hey, that's where we are. So you know, and another thing, they're doing this the same night as All In. Do you really think? Do you really think Goldberg is at this stage of his career? Goldberg and Gunther is the match that's gonna make me be like, you know what? I'm not gonna get this pay per view. I'm gonna watch Goldberg fight. Man, get the fuck out of here.
But again, you're saying that as someone who's watching the product, maybe someone again going for the older audience with a name like Goldberg and Gunther versus All In, where
But some of them people are not. They're not the ones gonna buy all who've already bought All In. I'm talking about the people who buying All In. Like those people who actually finna watch Goldberg like that. They're not really worried about All In. They're gonna watch the free television on cable to watch Saturday Night Main Event. So watching that's my opinion on it. But
yeah, no, I agree. Right, anyway, so I've got a list here. I want to go through it quickly. So the Undertaker versus Goldberg was Saudi Arabia, Jeddah, but that was 2019. Since that point, Goldberg squashed Ziggler at SummerSlam in 2019.
Yeah.
He then beat The Fiend in 2020 for the Universal Championship. Lost to Braun Strowman at WrestleMania 36. Lost to Drew McIntyre at Rumble 2021. Bobby Lashley beat Goldberg by referee's decision, but then Goldberg did beat Bobby Lashley at Crown Jewel. And the last match Goldberg had was against Roman Reigns at Elimination Chamber 2022. Now, Gina, I'll ask you. I mean, I can't even remember that Roman Reigns fucking matchup. I'm sure it said it's happening, but like Goldberg is just, I don't know what it is. I mean, what are your thoughts?
I mean, are you asking my thoughts on Goldberg overall or this match upcoming for Saturday night main event?
Where, I mean, either or, just go. Go. I know you got a lot. Go on.
Do you know what? I'm just going to give a quick Cliff Notes version. I actually really liked Goldberg when I was a bit younger and I was watching wrestling. Every time he came out, I thought he just kind of, mowed through everyone. And I just thought he was super cool. When I see him now, I roll my eyes and I think he just needs to stay off the screens and just retire. I'm not excited about him coming back. I didn't ask for this. I probably would not pay money for a ticket to go and see Goldberg in the main event. That's my personal opinion. I just don't think that he has it anymore. I don't think he's got enough, not enough skills, but I think, he's gone through so much with his body right now that I don't think he can put on a main event worthy match. I just truly don't. And I know that he's done some matches in the past where I've even questioned whether he can safely wrestle anymore, as in safely wrestle with another person, not even just for himself, but the other person's life that he's breaking apart. So, yeah, am I excited by this? No. Am I excited by this because I'm also annoyed at the fact that it's clear they took the belt off of Jey Uso just so that they could get this match between Goldberg and Gunther? Yes, I'm pissed off. It's nothing to do with Gunther at all. I think he's a great champ, but we didn't need the belt to be involved in this. You could have had Gunther versus Goldberg without the belt involved. So I will admit I'm irked by this all because of that situation, but I'm also just generally not excited at the thought of this return.
I mean, Jaxie asked you a question because we've got about it. Is it a case of if it was Goldberg versus Gunther, say if Jey Uso had lost to Gunther at WrestleMania, whether it is, and it was just Gunther Goldberg, is that less annoying than the fact that Jey Uso lost it because of this matchup? Do you know what I mean? If that hadn't
I know what
happened,
you mean.
would we still be excited for this match?
No, because again, of all the points my sister just rightly pointed out, I just think that Goldberg really is past his prime, and after a lot of the matches we have seen come from him in the past, there is no excitement behind him being in the main event compared to someone else, that is a full-time wrestler. Why these legends continue to come back and instantly get thrown in a title picture, I have no clue. But it's just yeah, I mean, I'm kind of over this. I've got fatigue with Goldberg. Just retire.
All right, we'll move on. I did find it quite funny that the two people with the most famous undefeated streaks did return on Monday Night Raw. Goldberg and Oscar. It's a little kick for your kind of long-term fans. Anyway, AJ Styles beat JD. Lynch agreed to defend the women's Intercontinental title against Bayley before taking a swing at her. She missed, so the role model knocked her down and out of the ring. SmackDown General Manager Nick Aldis, who was standing for Adam Pearce, told Styles backstage he would get an Intercontinental title shot at Night of Champions. He also told Bayley she would get women's Intercontinental title shot next week. And then the week's main event was a quarterfinal match in the King of Ring tournament. Uso, Rusev, Sheamus, and Bronson Reed. Bron Breakker showed up, obviously, to prevent Uso from hitting a splash, but Zayn and Penta showed up to fight him. LA Knight showed up to push Reed off the top rope. Uso hit him with two big splashes for the win. Rollins and Rose both showed up to end the show to officially make this segment feel a bit crowded. But Monty, do you think they could have fit anybody in that segment? Closing segment, just bring the roster out and just brawled or something.
Yeah, why not?
Yeah.
Make it a Royal Rumble, Battle Royal, whatever. Why not? Definitely overbooked, but I mean, it was fun. Don't get me wrong, but definitely one of the situations where even after the championship, Jey Uso needs an entire roster to help him out to end up coming out on top. So they continue to book him similarly in that fashion, but the four-way was fine. I disagree with the booking, man. It's just backwards to me. I really think Jay would have benefited with a break or just let Jay go away for a while. Not that he needs to be missed because I know the people love Jay or whatever, and he's still going to get that reaction. But I just think that after losing the championship, a nice reset. I almost wouldn't mind him coming back until after the Goldberg match or something. Not to necessarily challenge Gunther, but just to give him a fresh, direction, and just freshen things up for him because we know because y'all pretty much confirmed it with the promo and then the way the match happened. He's not on Gunther's level. So putting him in the King of the Ring tournament when this could have been a spot for somebody else, in my opinion, I don't know how much of a fan of it I am. Even if I do think Jey Uso Cody match is an interesting story telling opportunity. But yeah, that's my opinion on it. But they definitely made sure everybody that could get in on this one. So Him to get that appearance check.
Yeah, exactly. But this is what I was worried about. And again, on SmackDown, we start with LA Knight, start the show, and again, he just feels a bit lost in the shuffle. I know he's feuding with Seth Rollins' lackeys at the moment. He's interrupted by Paul Heyman. Knight threatened to mollywop him, which I've not heard in a long time. And the megastar grabbed a chair and fought off Reed and Bron. This led to Knight versus Reed later on, which ended in DQ when Bron got involved and the Hills beat Knight down with Heyman laughing. And again, I mean, Gene, I don't know what you thought about this with LA Knight. I do feel a bit sorry for him. And also, can we just be done with like the supposed draft? Because that's not a thing anymore. Even the general managers switch sides now. Can we just
Yeah,
stop it?
I mean, they really need to dead off the drafts now. Just accept that that was a thing of the past that people look forward to, and it worked for the show at the time it was being done. Your show has evolved now. Accept the fact that we've moved past the draft because you have your superstars just turn up on whatever show they want when you want that booking, or you need that booking, or there's a last minute dropout and you need someone to cover. It's just boring now, and it doesn't stick, so it does feel irrelevant. I think the reason why the draft felt like such a big deal a couple of years ago is because those drafts stuck. So even if you split up a faction, you would not see their tag team partner coming out on that show to come and save them because they're no longer drafted to that show. They're not allowed on that show. It just made more of a big deal back then, so it just feels irrelevant today. But in terms of LA Knight, I feel for him, man, because he is still so hot. If you listen to the crowd every time he comes out, he's still kind of treated, if you think from the sound, like he's one of the top stars. But at the moment, he is kind of like, in my eyes, the way I see it, he's like the fodder now in this CM Punk, Seth Rollins and Cody Rhodes and everybody else's feuds, and he's just that extra added body that can come out and help add to the face side numbers and help get that pop because he's got one of the biggest pops behind him. It's the same as Jey Uso. He's got one of the biggest pops behind him, but they've just fumbled him as well. It's just really frustrating because I do feel like LA Knight was at his peak a couple months ago and they've kind of just let him fall to the sidelines again. So it's like you either need to rebuild him back up or you're going to leave him in that mid, I'll just be the fodder card, you
Yeah.
know?
Yeah, and again, not to sound too old, but it's like the old Jim Duggan booking of he's over as a face, but he will never reach that heavyweight title. So he'd always be like just a lackey to whoever the babyface champion is. So, but hopefully that can change. Who knows? We've got the Queen of the Ring semi-final, Alexa Bliss versus Oscar. A failed twisted Bliss led to the downfall as the Empress Mo scored the pinfall victory. This was the right result. And Jaxie, I know we mentioned Jay Cargill being the favourite, but I mean with Oscar, you never really, go against her, really. So it should be a good matchup.
I mean, especially on a return match, you don't really expect them to be losing out at any point, especially someone of Oscar's caliber. So this was the right move here.
Yeah, without doubt. Before Alistair Black square off Kit Wilson, a pretty deadly. Yes, boy. Ron Kinney's attack, forcing Wilson unconscious with an STF. No, boy. But don't worry, Jamie Noble was there, talking to the unhinged babe face down to close things out and left Black wondering what just happened. Cody Rhodes took to the squared circle to address King of the Ring tournament in the semi-final match with Jey Uso. Jey Uso arrived before Cody could even talk. Sami Zayn interrupted and reiterated his desire to win the championship. Randy Orton interrupted and vowed to win King of the Ring and challenge John Cena. This led to the King of the Ring semi-final, Randy Orton versus Sami Zayn. And for the second year in a row, Orton is headed to the finals. I guess, Monty, with Zayn, it's more long-term because I really thought Sami might have won this one.
Yeah, I was kind of shocked, but at the same time, not shocked because the only reason why, which I don't even know if the future of Cross at this point is even set in stone at this point. But the segment with Cross that they still kind of doing every now and then with Sammy, and we know what Cross is at this point, almost a beacon for change. So it's like I'm wondering if that's gonna be what it is, or will Sammy be the first person to kind of ignore that whole heel turn element that Cross has kind of brought to everybody he's talked to, and could Sammy still become champion being Sammy, or would he have to embrace a dark side, so to speak? But yeah, man, it's one of them things. I'm with you. It's gonna probably be long term. Maybe win the Royal Rumble. I don't know. At this point, we're definitely gonna have to wait and see. But they are making a point because I think even Randy Orton, we got Randy Orton in the middle of the ring, last night saying one day Sami Zayn will be world champion. So you know, it's not like he said, not now, but it's gonna happen. So I don't know. I think at least I can at least be optimistic for that it's possibly going to happen. But at some point, man, they're gonna have to pull the trigger. Because I think we all can agree that Sammy has been one of those guys who've been deserving for a long time. But yeah, man, I was kind of shocked too that he couldn't get a victory here over Randy.
Interesting times. Another interesting one as well. Charlotte, she beat Chelsea Green. Loves match piping even. Now before attacked until Alexa Bliss made the save, clearing the ring and leaving her and the Queen to stare each other down. So maybe that's where they're going. But you think with Bliss and Charlotte, maybe those talents could be used a little bit more. But again, it is pretty stacked at the moment because Tiffany Stratton, the women's champion, interrupted a promo from Nia Jax coming face to face with her. They announced the last women's standing match for next Friday. And as we pointed out, at the moment, SmackDown's got more title matches than the PLE, which is actually named Night of Champions. But let's forget about that. An irresistible force laid out Tiff. Looked like Naomi was going to capitalise, but then Jax stopped it, and then Tiff laid him lay. And then again, Jax, this is a repeat segment from the previous week's SmackDown of Naomi trying to cash in and Jax stopping it, and just makes you think, are we going to get the same shit next week as well?
Exactly. I mean, they're doing a lot of teasing, and that's okay. Sometimes it's okay to kind of like not have someone cash in immediately, but also the teasers don't need to come in twice a week, So it's just kind of like it gets exhausting because you think one of these days it's going to happen, but is it going to just happen like literally weekly? So I don't know.
And then we got Fatu challenging Sikoa to fighting for the US title. Fatu cut Jaxie Batista off and was saved by Jimmy Uso, so that will heat up. Then the main event, Ron Killings versus John Cena. At the moment, Braveface got the upper hand on Cena. The undisputed W champion fled with his title, not willing to let the heel escape. True followed him, only to suffer a total shot to the face. CM Punk's music played almost immediately in a brawling shield before Cena delivered a title shot to the face of his Night of Champions opponent. Retrieved the table and drove him through, and from there retrieved the microphone and proceeded to cut his version of the pipe bomb. Before I go into the pipe bomb, Gina, this fucking match with R-Truth for John Cena, that was bollocks. Do you know, is it false advertising? What the fuck are they doing?
Sorry, say that again because you cut out my end.
The R-Truth and John Cena supposed match. It was just, I don't know what they're doing.
It felt like a Slim Jim advert type. Yeah, the thing is, if you wanted to really make this Ron Killings, R-Truth, John Cena story something, you shouldn't have had other people kind of interrupting and be there for the backup. It kind of killed it a little bit for me, and it just kind of felt like somebody's dad got into an argument and his son had to come and finish the argument off, So yeah, it did feel a bit wasted for me.
Yeah. All right. So anyway, on to the pipe bomb. And anybody doesn't know, CM Punk, the infamous pipe bomb, was it 13, 14 years ago now? So John Cena had his own one, and he said, Punk, as you lay there and you're most uncomfortable, someone's afraid what I'm going to say. I hope you can listen. I hope you can digest because before I leave here in 6 months for that W Championship, I've got a whole lot of stuff to get off my chest. First things first, I don't hate you. I like you. I like you. I like you more than anyone you've ever shared a locker room with. That's for sure. I hate this idea of you. The idea that you're best in the world. You're not. I'm the greatest of all time. You're better than me at one thing. You're the best bullshitter in the world. Oh no, kiddos. John Cena just dropped a curse word. That means the show's completely off the rails. Hey, Stu, shoot this. I'm breaking the fourth wall. The truth is, Punk, I'm jealous here. I'm jealous that you've conned these people into believing the myth that you're the best in the world. Hey, Claudio Castagnoli. Hey, Nick Nemeth. Hey, Matt Candona. How are you guys doing? You're promo potato salad pal. Hey, you're no longer the voice of the voiceless. You're a friggin' millionaire despite yourself. And you're not a punk. You're a capitalist. You're not against TKO. You are Mr. TKO because they knock your balls technically off your body. Your tweets are strong, but your actions are weak. He then went into the Night of Champions spiel. But, I mean, they do say many true words said in jest. But, Monty, I fucking loved this. And I know it probably might get a mixed reaction, as in from what Cena's going to take away from this. But I mean, what were your thoughts on this? 'Cause I thought this was genius.
Yeah, man. I don't know. I think I'm one of the only people who really just was sitting there like, I mean, I enjoy it for the concept of it and like for the meta of it all. And John really uh excels in this role of just kind of in this particular case because you gotta understand who John has been his whole career. He's always not been able to kind of he's known to not necessarily say any of this type of stuff. So for him to kind of do that and play the CM Punk role, other than CM Punk having to sit there and just sell an AA as if he was knocked out cold, I kind of thought that part, after a while, I was like, all right, Punk, kind of move a little bit or sit up and grab your ribs and
He
look
did
at
have
him,
three championship shots to the face. I mean, that knocks out a normal man for at least
Yeah,
15
but
minutes, doesn't it?
but true, but after a while of just the camera sitting right there and Cena talked for 15 damn minutes. Damn there. You know what I mean? So I'm just saying after a while, it's like I gotta watch Punk keep his eyes closed for as long as he can, just while this man is just insulting. That it was kind of awkward, but that's fine. You're right. He did get hit with the belt. That's fine. But again, the promo itself and the stuff he was saying, like you said, there was a lot of truth in it. And it was basically kind of like what Punk did to the company and did to him. My only thing is that because I saw somebody post already like which one was better, and I'm like, I'm sorry, you can never beat the original because the original wasn't supposed to happen. Or the original wasn't supposed to be like that. At least if you, it wasn't supposed to go as far as he was. If you go off the way it was presented, this one is literally a directed version of that one. So I do see the comparison. I understand why people got a kick out of it. It was a great angle. It was a great way to kind of add heat to this feud and add, kind of like that element of, like I said, element of truth to it. Shouting out people who used to work there. All of that was cool. I just, for me, to me, another thing, and this is just me, because I'm always gonna look at it this way. To me, it also pointed out to me how you guys have failed. But as much as great as this was, you have failed because Cena sounded like the biggest baby face ever. Grand Rapids ate up everything he said, and when he was saying he was the greatest of all time, the pop was there. You know what I mean? And it's like, oh, okay. Then that's supposed to be the bad guy, right?
but
That's
listen,
supposed to be the bad guy.
The pipe bomb didn't make Punk a heel, did it? It made him the biggest face in the company. So again, it's like, oh, they've done it. But
So again, why is this?
yeah,
That's why it's disjointed.
exactly,
That's my point. That's why it's disjointed. So
that's what I'm saying.
again, so it's like this is supposed to be the bad guy here, and then not to mention, you guys mentioned it earlier. I was already deflated and just mad at how they did the Truth situation because Truth was doing so much split personality type of work on his character, and for them to just get hit with the belt once, get out the way. The only reason why Truth was there was because, hey, guess what? 14 years ago, before John Cena got that pipe bomb done to him by Punk, do you know who he was fighting? He fought R-Truth. That's the only reason why they did that. So, like, when that's, I kind of, that left a bad taste in my mouth. But the segment itself, I understand why people love it. And I do think it's probably the best or one of the best moments Cena has had on this entire heel run. So I do think that. But other than that, I did like it was some parts of it where I was like, okay, I see what you're doing, and I get why we're doing it. But at the same time, I'm just one of those guys that, to me, they've kind of ruined whatever a pipe bomb was. CM Punk too, because like CM Punk in years have tried to take the microphone label off and make it seem like he's doing it again. It's like no, it's nothing like that first one, and that's just kind of how I feel. Maybe it's because I'm a Punk guy, but this was great. I love seeing that side of Cena, and I thought Cena excelled in that role. But you're 100% right. It's like my whole thing is now is like, is Cena even gonna get booed ever again now? Is he just gonna be? He's gonna just lean into it now, but he's still gonna kick people in the dick. You know what I mean? Like, what's gonna happen? What's gonna happen going forward? Because to me, this just makes Cena look great and Punk look bad to me.
Yeah.
So
I mean, it's interesting. Again, you wonder if Punk will have a retort, on the week leading up to Night of Champions. But again, even Gina, even though, obviously a lot of work went into it, even the names mentioned of, Claudio and Matt Cardona and Nick Nemeth, those were guys Punk said back in the day should be getting more limelight. And it's seen as point of going, well, you just stepped on these guys because, you're the ultimate thing. So again, there's a lot going on. A lot have been said about Punk, which actually they're talking about now as well. Like, is he a hypocrite? Could they actually do like a double turn? Is that possible?
Yeah, I mean, I think if anyone is capable of pulling off a double turn, I definitely think it would be Punk. But I get what you mean. Like, there is a hypocritical feel about it. I suppose we'll just have to see how things go over the next coming weeks to see if there's kind of a resolution as to why he was like, quite hypocrite here. I
Yeah.
think that would be good if they did a full kind of story turnaround for it. But yeah, we'll just have to see at the end of the day. I do find it interesting. I didn't know that about the fact that when CM Punk dropped his pipe bomb, that was after he had fought R-Truth. So that I do find that pretty cool in terms of storyline telling, and just having the full circle of it happen
Yeah.
again here. Um, but again, I wasn't really happy with the match between John and Ron Killings. I think if they were going to do it, they should have really committed and gave a great match and then let this happen. But because it was such a lackluster match, it just felt like a meh pipe bomb.
Yeah. It's interesting. Like I said, we've got so much coming up, especially WWE related stuff when it comes to Saturday Night's main event and, of course, Evolution with leading SummerSlam. Let's not forget about Night of Champions, which will be our next show in a couple of weeks, WWE wise. So, Jaxie, last thing then, just what are your thoughts on WWE from, as we saw, Saturday Night's main event, last one, leading up to kind of what we've seen this month? What are your thoughts? How have they gone?
I mean, it's kind of like they're having ups and downs, They're excelling in terms of storyline with certain wrestlers, but they're just kind of like losing the ball with, other storylines and wrestlers and championships. So I don't know. They're in a bit of a funny place at the moment. Uh, it'll be interesting to see where things get taken from here, but I think we've pointed out a lot of good points or areas that WWE or creative really need to improve on. So it's a bit of a confusing time for WWE, I think.
We'll see what happens. Like I said, a couple of weeks' time, it will be Night of Champions. But that is it for today. Don't forget, across all social media, X at the WNR Podcast. I'm at the WNR Pod. James, you can find the entire WNR team on the banner. Also now on Blue Sky, WNR Podcast, and Reddit. Monty, where can people find and follow you?
like you said, at my Monty Pod on Twitter.
And Jaxie?
Jaxie Scarlett on Twitch, Twitter, and YouTube.
And Gina?
I'm on the same at Purple Pain.
And the WNR also on Facebook and Instagram. Send us an email to podcast@gmail.com. YouTube, no podcast. Got the same time on YouTube as do SoundCloud on your phone. Also, Spotify and iTunes, where you can download, subscribe, rate, and review there. So that is it. Our next episode of next weekend, NXT Wells Collide. Like I said, 2 weeks will be Night of Champions. Until then, I've been James Rose and was joined by the fantastic Jaxie Scarlett. Jaxie, another win today as well.
Yep, it's been fun, and I look forward to the next one because watch this space. I will get a clean sweep and just all by myself at one point. I know it.
And of course, the mind of Monty. I'm pretty sure you let us have one today, but I'm going to take it.
Yeah, Jackson say she getting a perfect score. I'm gonna cheat off her paper next time then.
And of course, the genius of Gina. Come on, G, we can do this. If I can get a win, you can.
So I literally had a terrible run with this Money in the Bank. So I've got a lot of pressure on me to come back next premium live event.
Without a doubt. Well, that is it. Thanks for listening, everybody, and bye.